today I'm talking about how to build confidence and connection for you and your horse. It's challenging, especially if you've lost your confidence as a rider or you don't feel confident as a rider. And maybe you're dealing with a horse that doesn't have a lot of confidence. So, how do you get past that? How do you learn to trust your horse? How do you build your horse's trust in you? And that's what I'm going to explain to you in this video today. So, if this is your first time joining me, I'm Ann Gage, the horse riding confidence coach, and I help anxious horse riders get back in the saddle with confidence and joy. I'm the author of the book, Confident Rider, Confident Horse, which is available both in a PDF format, which you can download right away from my website, confidenthorsemanship.com, and you can also order the lovely paperback book there as well. So, how do you build confidence and connection in your horse and in yourself? How do you become connected with a horse maybe that you don't trust or you've lost trust in? So, when I'm talking with anxious horse riders, they're very often most anxious about what the horse might do. So, for example, the horse lifts his head and looks off to the distance, and immediately the person is thinking, oh, the horse is going to bolt or buck or take off or do something like that, which creates more stress. And that stress in the person can contribute to the horse feeling unsettled, even if he wasn't before. Very often horses are doing things like lifting up their head and looking off into the distance just because there was a movement that caught their eye, there was a sound or a smell, and they just want to check out what it might be, and they're not really anxious about it. But if you do have a horse who is easily distracted, how can you help focus him on you? Because that is a way that we as riders feel much more safe when our horse is paying attention to us and not being distracted by all these little sights and sounds and things going on. And pardon, my cat is rubbing her head on my laptop right now. So the best way I have found, and I have worked with horses in many different ways on my evolution as a horse rider and trainer and riding coach, the best way I have found to build that connection and that confidence both in yourself and in your horse is with positive reinforcement techniques. Positive reinforcement helps the horse feel safe because he's only being told when he's doing something right. And because the reinforcement itself is something good, it's something the horse can look forward to. It builds trust very easily and very quickly. And one of the ways that you can help the horse to become more focused on you and what's going on within your environment and less distracted by things around you is by using targets. Now, targets can be things, it's just basically a marker. It can be a cone, like a traffic cone. It could be a stick in the ground. It could be a rock. Whatever you have, a tire, whatever you have around available to you. And you start from the ground, just teaching your horse to go to or touch this target. Now, you can have something called a target stick, and you can easily make one. Some people use fly swatters. You could, the very first target stick I made was with a whip that I turned around and used the handle, and I stuck a tennis ball on the end of it. So using that target in front of the horse and just holding it out in front of the horse, all you do is when the horse maybe looks at it initially, you can reinforce for that. When the horse touches it with its nose, you can reinforce it with that. So I've used both the target stick and things like cones on the ground as markers, as targets. So you could use a target, a cone on the ground or some other thing on the ground. It could be a mat even, or piece of old carpet, that the horse gets reinforced for standing beside it, or if it's a mat or a bit of carpet, standing on it. So I've used mats, rubber mats in a stall, for teaching a horse to stand still in place, much like you, if you've ever trained dogs and you teach them to go on their bed, it's the same kind of thing. And the horse feels safe there because only good things happen there. And you're the person giving the horse the good things. So, of course, there you build your trust. And when you take your time to do this, you start it from the ground and then you can build that up into the saddle. But when you take the time to do this, you become much more observant of your horse. You get to understand your horse, and you know, those things like him looking off at something doesn't become so big and scary. And teaching your horse to stand still for mounting, using a target. Teaching your horse or working with your horse if you're a little bit nervous, and you've trained your horse from the ground to move around to different targets. So if you've set up a little pattern, a circle or you know, 3 or 4 cones, and if you've got shorter cones, you can put a stick up out of them that the horse can go to, and he gets reinforced every time he goes and stops at one of these cones. You can use words and your cues, your aids, to ask your horse to walk from one cone to another cone. Use whoa as he's approaching the cone, so you're also installing those words, those voice cues, which become very helpful when you're riding and you don't have those cones around you. So that's just a quick overview of how you can use some positive reinforcement, some target training with your horse, starting from the ground and then applying similar things in the saddle to build trust and confidence and connection between you and your horse. So if you'd like more help, if you're like some help being more relaxed as a rider, relaxed in the saddle, feeling more confident, then do join me. I'm collaborating with my friend Shona Jameson of Cherry Tree Training, and we are running a 3-day free challenge which starts on the 29th of September, so next week, just for 3 days. You don't need to be riding right now to take part in the challenge, and we are going to reveal some very simple yet effective mindset and fitness techniques and that to help you get you started feeling more relaxed in the saddle, so you'll figure out what steps you need to take next. So I'm going to pop the link to that challenge into the comments, so feel free to click on that and do join the challenge. And if you have any questions or comments or ideas for topics you'd like me to cover in another Facebook Live, pop them in the comments below and I will add them to my list. Thanks so much for taking the time to join me and to watch this video, and I will catch you next week on my next live, and I hope to see you in our Relaxed Rider Challenge.